Hey Trinity family, let me ask you a question. When is the last time you heard someone praised or complimented for doing nothing? When's the last time you heard someone rewarded for saying no to something that needed to be done so that instead they could rest and just take some time off, some time to focus? If you're like me, it's probably been a while, or possibly it's been never. The current American culture that many of us find ourselves in, it's one that prides itself on busyness, productivity, and action. We live in a 24/7 world. We see downtime as something to be filled, something to be scheduled over, not something to be prized, not something to be protected or prioritized. When you read the Bible, we see something else. We don't see God telling us to be busy all the time, but rather we see God ordering us to rest. We see God commanding that we take time off. We take time away from work, away from responsibility, away from production. Not only do we see God commanding this, but we see Him practicing it. We see the God who created the universe, who is self-sustaining, taking intentional time to do nothing, to rest. In Genesis, the very beginning of the Bible, we see God create the universe and everything in it in 6 days. And then in chapter 2, verse 3, we see God blessed the seventh day. He declared it holy, for on it He rested from all His work of creation. Did you see that? God blessed the seventh day. He declared the seventh day holy, something to be set apart. And then He rested. He took a break. He rested from His work. Now, the next time you say, I don't need rest, or you know what, I'll rest when I'm dead. Remember, even God rested, and I'm pretty sure He's better, tougher, and stronger, and more powerful than you. I know He's far greater than me. But this isn't the only place we see God recommend or command that we take a Sabbath. I'd be curious how many of you could list all of the 10 commandments, just off the top of your head. As a kid, I could, but I don't think I could anymore. But if you look at the 10 commandments, God's key laws for the Israelite people, we see some well-known laws. Have no gods before me, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal. But do you know what the longest and the most detailed of the 10 commandments is? It's commandment number 4. This is in Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day. Keep it holy. You are to labor 6 days and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You must not do any work, you, your son or daughter, your male or female servant, your livestock, or the resident alien who is within your city gates. For the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and everything in them in 6 days. Then He rested on the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and declared it holy. Remember the Sabbath. Keep it holy. Set it apart. Work 6 days, but the seventh day, don't do any work. No one in your house is to work, not even your servants or your livestock. Why? Well, because that's what God did. That's the example God set for us to follow. I don't know about all of you, but I'm not great at Sabbathing. I'm not good at taking time off. I can create any number of excuses to keep busy. I work all week. I'm going to school to get my master's in divinity. I have 5 to 10 books to read per semester, and who knows how many papers I have to write. I don't have time to rest. I'm not God. I can't do all my work in 6 days. Look at the chores I have to do. I have to mow the lawn. I have to vacuum the floor. I have to wash the dishes. I have to smoke the brisket. Okay, I'll enjoy the last one, but what about you? What are your excuses? What are those things you have to do that keep you from keeping a day as a Sabbath? Those things that keep you from setting a day apart to rest. Have you ever gotten a new tool, a new piece of equipment, or maybe a new piece of technology, and you began using it, and only for it to break a few days later? Likely because you didn't read the instructions or the manual, and you take it into a shop to get a refund or to get repair, and you learn you've been using it wrong all along. And if you'd only read the manual and if you'd used it correctly, not only would it have not broken, but it would have worked more efficiently. It would have worked better in the first place. I know I've done that more than a few times. So don't you think the creator of a thing knows how best to operate that thing? So don't you think God, who created us, knows how we best operate? Don't you think the instruction manual, the Bible, should be the final authority on our life? Imagine going to John Deere engineers and saying, hey, I know that you think you know how this combine works, and I know you told me to put in diesel, but diesel's getting kind of pricey. So I'm gonna start cutting my fuel with 90% water, and I'm sure the combine will run fine. Like, that'd be foolish, right? And yet, here we are telling God, I know you told me to rest, and I'm sure I'll be fine. I'll just keep working. And instead of taking a full day, tell you what, I'll take a 30-minute breather and I'll call it good. So we need to Sabbath, but how? What does it look like to Sabbath? What can or can't we do if we want to properly rest in God? Well, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be joined by Pastor John, and we're going to discuss these questions. We're going to look at how to Sabbath. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment with them below. And I'll take as many of those as I can to that discussion, and we'll get some answers together. But for now, let's just give a final thought to a few of our pastors. We were talking a couple weeks back, and the idea of Sabbath came up. And we kind of developed this idea that when we get exhausted, when we need that time of rest, we'll often sit on the couch, we'll turn on the TV, we'll grab a book, we'll go work in the garden, whatever it is, we'll just zone out for 30, 45, 60 minutes. And then we get back to work, and we find out we're no more rested than we were an hour ago before zoning out. Now imagine your phone is getting low on battery, so you turn your phone off to preserve it, and an hour later you need to make a call. So you turn your phone back on, you make a phone call, and then you turn it back off. Your battery is still low, but you were able to make the call. And you can repeat this over and over, but eventually your phone won't turn back on. All you're doing is delaying the inevitable crash. You didn't charge your phone, you just turned it off to keep the battery from depleting. Too often, that's what we do when we rest. We're not really recharging, not really resting, we're just delaying our inevitable crash. A true Sabbath is refreshing. It's recharging our mind, our body, and most importantly, our soul. So again, we want to look at this the next few weeks here. So put any Sabbath questions you have, and I'll try to answer them in our next video or in our interview with John in a couple weeks here. But until then, have a great day. God bless, and take a Sabbath.